Hello again, everyone. I am Joshua Bishop, aka Iconic Shaman, and today I am once again running Journey to Jaburo. So, update on what happened yesterday. My man PMC Trilogy beat my record of 31:48. He got a good 31:25. So I grinded all night last night, couldn't get the run I wanted, turned off the stream, kept running off stream, and then I got this run right here. All I'm going to do, the run is really the same. There is no new strats. If you've seen my previous video on this, I didn't really do anything different. I think the only thing I did different you're going to see toward the end. But there were a few little things I can think about that may kind of add to a little more time saves, provided things go my way. So, in this first mission, I did find something very interesting, and I'm not sure how the damage parameters on the Zaku's work, but as you're going to see right here, normally if you get those Zaku's cleared within 15-20 seconds in-game time, you're okay. I'd say 20 is about pushing it, but to get it in 12 or 13 is absolutely ridiculous. And I think I don't know what it is. I think the armor is weird in a way. I'm not sure what's going on there, but to be able to clear the Zaku that quick, I think that's either really lucky or there's just something I was doing that I wasn't doing before. So what I'm trying to do here, the thing I've discovered, so at 59 seconds, a dialogue line plays that goes, "Who's piloting the Gundam? Never mind that. Get the civilians aboard the white base." What I've learned is, during this game, good thing I remembered this. So Journey to Jaburo has this mechanic in the game. I don't know if it's really a mechanic so much as it is realism in a way. If you stand too close to an exploding mobile suit and you're not guarding with your shield in front, you will take damage from the explosion. So around the 59-second to a minute mark, I know that line is coming. So once I take that damage and I see I've taken enough damage, you hear Amuro go, "Ugh, lousy Zaku." It's a shorter line and it completely skips that dialogue and it gets you out of the mission quicker. So mission 2, nothing really changes. We're still going to use the Hyper Bazooka. The only thing I've really found that does change anything is the timing of the special and maybe the movement toward Garma. And the Char fight, depending on how well it goes, you can get it. And as you see right there, I've got a potential time save of 17 seconds. And that's a way to say that that's what my goal is. So I know if I get a good time here, I'm going to be in good shape. Once again, we use the Hyper Bazooka on Mission 2 because we're dealing with a lot of Magella tanks and one certain DOP. The bazooka's missile is so massive. It's so big that we take out tanks in one hit. We have a little margin for error when it comes to mobile suits and everything else that we're firing at. And, I mean, you can look at this thing. You can see it fire. I'm not sure if it happens in this video or not, but there are some takes where you can see, if you look at that Zaku, it could be about 2 Zakus to the left. You could fire it like that. See right there? Nowhere near it, but that hitbox is so huge. You gotta love the programming sometimes. So I go there, I fire a few specials that hit, and the key for PMC and anybody else who runs this game who think, well, I've hit so many specials on it, why can't it take the damage? Why is it so tanky? Well, the thing is with the specials, you kind of have to wait. You kind of have to have a little bit of a delay before the special can really take a good effect. So what I'll do is after the first one hits, I'll pause a little bit more times than not, throw the next special, and that should take care of business. So I personally get down to 1 shot. You can do what you want with that. I personally get down to 1 shot because 1 shot is all I need to take care of Garma. It gets me through, and then I get in a situation where when I get to Char, I'm starting with full ammo. That's what I like to do because Char is the one part where I really like to have that margin for error. I thought that shot would have hit. The ace pilots do unfortunately dodge some of those shots. They know when they're coming. And the other thing about the Hyper Bazooka special, you don't want to get too close because you can actually fire over their shoulder, which I think is jank, but it is what it is. So all I'm doing here is I'm waiting for the cue of that must be some kind of Fetty monster, and also making sure that I've broken Char's shield, because that's the way I know he's taken enough damage, and we're going to keep going on. So to stay on pace with that 6-second time save I had early on, I know I'm in a good spot. So mission 3, we're going to go to the Hyper Hammer here, and what we are going to do is we are going to destroy 4 Zakus to summon Char. And there has been some latency in between that I've seen. So in my video, what I should explain, instead of saying latency, because let's say there was a miscommunication. That's a better way to put it. I said your Gundam had to be looking a certain way to dissuade a certain spawn. I think it's time-based. I'm not really sure, but sometimes I was looking the way I said to look, and that Zaku, the second Zaku that I'm looking for, doesn't spawn right behind the one in the west. It does spawn closer to the white base. I'm not sure what's doing that, unless I'm just not getting the 2 Zakus down fast enough. And if that's the case, that is really interesting. But other than that, I'm not really sure how it's happening. But more times than not, I've been consistent with getting the 2 Zakus to spawn to the west after the first wave. So again, we're trying to use the tag that we can, just trying to get them down real quick. The Hyper Hammer, like I should mention, and like I did mention in the previous video that I ran for this, the Hyper Hammer is the most consistent way for us to do damage. It's going to be the bread and butter of this run. It's going to be what we use to get through. Now, there may be some missions where you think the beam rifle is faster, or sometimes the beam rifle is safer because you don't want to take a lot of damage. And while you're right, you also have to keep in mind they can block the beam rifle shots. You don't have a chance to stun lock. You don't really get a lot of recoil. However, it can work, and it has been shown to work. And so there are some times where we will use the beam rifle over the Hyper Hammer. And then there are 3 missions where we just don't have a choice, and that's 1, 5, and 6. They give us a preset that we just can't get out of. So I got the Zaku to spawn on the west side. That's very good. I managed to clear the first 2 in good time and was looking east just to be sure. I get those 2 Zakus out of the way, and knowing that those 2 spawned in the west, knowing that's where I started, I know that Char is now to the northeast. So all I'm going to do is move in that direction. And I believe here I didn't really get a good fight, and that's because I didn't get the Char that I really wanted, and I just kind of misplayed it a little. But for the most part, and see, I forgot to guard there, and then I got hit again, so that's an unfortunate time loss. But that's one of those that I can just dodge, get the shield back up, and then get back on the right track. I see he gets the Heat Hawk out, so we're in good shape. All I gotta do is put in enough damage. So with the Ace Pilots, what I normally do with the Hyper Hammer is I will just do what PMC does, and that's strafe in one certain direction. I don't try to use the Hammer Tech against the Ace Pilot units, because it's not really consistent with the way they damage, or the way they dodge, and the way they're trying to hit you at all times, and it's just not a good technique to go with against those Ace Pilots. They are very useful against AI. You've seen me do it. I'll go over that a little later, but for right now, I've found a new save right here with the Gal, where instead of landing on the plane, because the Hyper Hammer takes out the Gal attack carriers in one hit, all I really want to do is fly up in position and then throw the hammer in midair. So the reason that can work, normally in Journey to Jaburo, unlike encounters in space, if you commit to boosting, you're committed to boosting. You can't fire a weapon. You can't change your weapon. Whatever you got, that's what you got. You can guard while boosting, but you cannot, you can't commit to guarding while boosting. You already have to be committed to guarding while boosting, I should mention. But you can't fire a weapon, and you can't do anything other than move in a certain direction. So when you move up in midair and you come out of boost, you're in a moment where you can do anything you want to do. You can recommit to boosting. You can throw an attack. You can change to guard. I think you can change your weapon. I'm not sure about that. I haven't tried to change my weapon. But what I do in that instance now is I'm trying to float in midair and knock the gal out instead of landing on it. That's a little bit of a time save. I'm not sure how many seconds it saves, but it's a minor time save that makes things useful. So now we move on to mission 4, where there is a really good time save depending on how fast I clear the base here. So we have to clear 2 Zaku's, turrets, and a few satellites. 2 beam rifle shots, 2 or 3 beam rifle shots on these old Zaku 1s that are the weakest mobile suit units in the game. Two of those regular shots and a special take care of them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the turrets. The reason I prefer to go to the left rather than the right like PMC does, I prefer to go to the left because when I go to the left, I get directly behind the units that I want to be behind, which are the turrets. The turrets are fortified from the front, and it's easier for me to hit it from the left side because I can get away from the turrets on the left side. The turrets don't really fire at me from the left side unless I'm just too close to where the turrets are on that little rock formation on the base. And so all I'll do is I'll wait in position. The game automatically moves you to a position anyway. I don't really have to move. I just do it. And then I get ready for Ramba right here. And see, what I like about the Ace pilots is they do like to move forward at a certain point. So if they just keep moving, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire specials at them. I didn't get the specials I wanted, but I still got out of there really impressively quick, and that's mostly due to the fact that I did hit the 1 special while Ramba was moving at me. The really lucky thing you can have happen with Ace pilot units is the way they boost. I haven't tried hitting specials when they're moving directly at me, but if they move just straight up in the air, and you fire the special, you can guarantee to hit them. So it is a free punish, and it is a good time save in these missions where 1 guaranteed special and a few shots is all you need to do enough damage to move on to the next part. So now we're on mission 5, and mission 5 is one of the most frustrating missions. It's not really a run killer, but a bad second phase of this mission can be the entire difference between having a good run or having a great run or even having a run that goes in the trash. So I've routed this in a way where we have to take out a certain number of buildings, we have to take out bases, all that. I try to get a little cute and take out the building without having to target it, so that way I can just turn straight to the Zaku, and the targeting system is so great here. It's better than Encounters in Space, as jank as that can be, or One Year War if you've played it, but it still has some head-scratching moments about it. I got a good Zaku. The first Zaku was very good. You want to be careful with those turrets. I saw that thing was charging. Had I waited a little longer to take care of it, I would not have been in good shape. So this Bazooka Zaku can be the most difficult to deal with, but fortunately he didn't fire any shots at me and he didn't know what was going on, so I got a very lucky, very good Zaku. If it was maybe a little slow, but it was better. So I run out of ammo right there after clearing those 2 turrets, and I'm still in good shape because that means I'm going to have more ammo readily available for the Makuve fight when we get there. I still want to take out the turret before I take out the Zaku because the turrets do a lot of damage. You take out the building instead of the, I think it's an oil well or a mineral resource or whatever it is. I think it's something like that. You take that out, you take the building out instead of the drum. If you take out the building, the drum goes with it instead of having to shoot both up separately. So now we go to the Makuve fight. If I had a full 16 shots of ammo with the beam rifle, I'd just be able to move around, take out the legs, and go on from there. So against Makuve's Adzam, again what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take out the 4 legs while avoiding Zaku's, while avoiding everything else trying to get me. So I know the Zaku spawn to the left of me, which I do believe, yes it is. It is to the west. So I try to head right because it's the path of least resistance. And as you see right here, you can actually miss those shots on the legs. But I clear the legs out pretty easily. So now all I know that I have to do is get a significant number of damage, which is just a few shots on the main body. So I'm trying to get the Gundam to target something on the top of the Adzam, so all I can do is hit it from under and get out of that mission. Fortunately, the last shot goes through, and I only lose half a second. It was a pretty good Adzam fight to be able to only lose half a second on there. So I'm sitting here going, I'm 17 seconds ahead, and I've still got plenty of time to save in the late game, because my mission, from mission 6 on, with the way my splits are set up in my PB, from mission 6 on, I have a bunch of time to save depending on what type of fights I get. So mission 6, what I've done that's really helped PMC in his run too, I saw him do this. You have to take care of the Gallop, and you have to fight Ramba again. So what I'll do is, instead of manually targeting the Gallop, I will just float on. I will just boost onto it, and the way it works, the back of the Gallop is kind of sloped in a way, so you can use it as a ramp to get yourself in position. If you get on the main turret on there, you're in great shape. So I did. But the way if you get on the ship, as long as you don't go too far to the left or right of the turret and put yourself in a position where you could be entirely not in position to hit the backside of it and take it out in the 4 specials you need, you're still in a good spot. Otherwise, it's kind of oof, ouch, owie, yikes. So I go ahead and waste the 1 extra special, like I mentioned, because I want to have that margin for error. I want to be walking into this fight with Ramba at full health. Now, one thing I did do different is I remembered how you call support in this game from your allies. You use R2 and triangle or circle. You will get help from either Kai or Hayato. They don't really help a whole lot this part here, but I figure if I get the help from them while they're right near the goof, they can fire enough shots and do damage that can help me get through that fight. So they didn't really do a lot there, but it was just an interesting thing to try. I only lost about 4 seconds because I didn't really get the lucky specials that I wanted, and I didn't get Ramba in the position I like to be able to get the faster part of the run. So I know I'm looking at this save, or this split, with time to still save if I go back to running this, which I probably will, because there is a good bit of room for improvement. So now we enter the 3 run killers of this whole run. Mission 7, Mission 8, Mission 9. PMC somehow is a god and doesn't have a bad time with this. So I should mention Mission 7. What I do here is I do try to take enough damage from the black tri-stars in the opening, so that way I don't have many, if any, Zaku's spawning on the map. So I try to take enough damage so all I have to do is take out the tri-stars and maybe at most 1 Zaku to get out of the mission. The risk behind doing that in this run, and especially in marathons where I'd like to run this, the risk behind doing it is just the fact that you can't really guarantee that you're going to do enough damage back when you know you're trying to intentionally take damage. So you can end up taking too much damage. You can end up being in a position where, see how that Dom threw that sword? If it did, sometimes the blessing about this mission is that there are so many trees in the way that when they try to slash you, they may instead hit a tree. So I've taken enough damage. I'm below half health. What I'm hoping for here is I'm hoping the black tri-stars leave me alone. So what I've seen PMC do that I didn't do in this run is he'll actually boost over the tri-stars, and more times than not they will leave him alone by doing that. I know I've still got 1 on me, but 1's going away. There goes the second one. So when the third one is still going after me, thank God I got out of the way because I didn't see him going for that special. So what I'm going to do, now with this third one still on me, I have a fair fight. All I need to do now, well, I say fair fight, but all he's really going to do is run away from me. But that's fair to me. They're not focusing me at all, so I'm good with it. I'm going to focus these Doms from the backside, and I'm going to take them out. They're going to dodge because they know something's hitting them. They know they're in combat, but they're not bothering enough to turn around and see who or what it is that's doing damage to them. So once again, when I can, I will call Kai and Hayato when I get close to the white base, and they will actually help. They do and can be useful against the Black Tri-Stars because they will actually fire shots. And as you see right there, I did not pay attention to where that Dom was. That's a little bit of a minor time loss, so I did call the gun cannon the gun tank. As you see right there, they are firing shots in the general direction of who I'm targeting. They hit a few going on right there, and now I see the final Dom in sight. I'm going to go take it out. I don't see a Zaku in play. We are in good shape. My health is low enough, so all I want to do is make sure I take out that last Dom and get out of the way. Knowing that I don't have any other Zakus on the map, Fraubo should come up, and I'm going to get a little bit of a good time save. So I didn't get the entire time save I wanted, but to save 7 seconds there and be 20 seconds ahead, knowing I have more time to save in Jaburo and maybe a little bit of time to save where I can get a faster Mission 8, I'm looking at this thinking, this is a pretty good run now, because as long as I can get through the late game, I'm in good shape. So, Mission 8 is a mission where you can opt to run the beam rifle instead of the hyper hammer. I still run the hyper hammer here because I've just seen the hyper hammer being the more consistent way of doing damage. It's the only way I can really get around the fact that the second phase of this mission is terrible. The second phase, I've tried the Hyper Bazooka with it. I've been experimenting with it a little bit. The Hyper Bazooka is good for dealing with the Zagoks in the second phase, but for the first phase, it's not really good because of the limited amount of ammo to the Gogs and the amount of damage they need to take before we can get them off the map. So the Hyper Hammer is still the best option in that regard, because I'm able to keep the GOG at arm's length, I'm able to move around like I want to, and I know just kind of the threshold of where I need to be in order to really not get hit from what's really going to hurt me on the GOGs, which in their case, the missiles hurt, the Mega Particle Cannons not so much, the claws of this GOG are what really hurt. Go figure, you get up close to a big, heavy mobile suit like that, as heavy as its hands are and as heavy as the mobile suit in general is, go figure, its hands will do the most damage. So I'm sitting here, got the first one down, it blows up in the water. I really like that, by the way, that even though it's just a little minor thing for a 2000s game, the water blows up with it instead of just big explosion in water. I do think that's a really nice touch. So I get the 2 GOGs out of the way. I got those done pretty quick. We're on the 3rd one. And all I'm trying to do now that I have it isolated is I'm being safe about it. I could go with the fast strat, but knowing I have it at its side, that's the reason I don't want to go for the fast tech there. So the fast tech I should mention, because I'm going to try to use this on the Zagok. The fast way of using the hammer in this run, if you use L1, you use L1 and R1 in this game to strafe. So what I do is I'll go L1 in one direction and hit square. As soon as I hit square and get the attack going, then I will immediately reverse direction and go to the next side. And if I do it correctly, it works like a tetherball, where instead of waiting for the chain to come back to me, the hammer is already there at my side ready to go and keep attacking. I do call the gun cannon and the gun tank here because they can be useful for helping me deal with that first Zagok, and as you see, I got out of there relatively quickly. And the good thing is, instead of getting the beam firing Zagok, I got the missile firing Zagok. So even though I still took a good bit of damage, I took less damage compared to what I would take with the beams. And the other good thing is, if I get in that situation where I can just keep smacking them with the Hyper Hammer and they don't fire their beams, they will go down fairly quickly because they have about as much health as what, a Zaku 2? Something like that? Either way, I take them out and I'm good. All I have to do now is go after the GOG. And I think I really screwed this up here because I'm trying to boost in the area that's out of bounds, and my verniers are not in good shape. I did not really manage my thrusters well. But I go right here, I get this last GOG, and then I'm going to keep playing it safe And what really doesn't help is I think I take 2 free shots from the GOG instead of moving. I don't know what happened. I don't think I could move, or I wasn't trying to move. You see right there, I take too many unnecessary shots, which I think ends up slowing me down in the long run. And the GOG was a little tankier than I wanted it to be. It's an unfortunate time loss, but it's a correctable time loss. So I lose about 15 seconds, well, 14 according to my splitter. And again, I should mention, like I put in the video, the timer is going to be a little ahead of the video, but the way the splits are working, I'm splitting when it starts fading to black or when it completely fades to black. I usually do it when it starts fading to black, because by the time it starts, as soon as you know it, it will have completely faded to black. So all I know here is, even though I've lost time in Mission 8, Mission 9 is my final and biggest time save, which the whole reason that the whole reason PMC was able to beat my run is because I had a really weak Mission 9, and go figure, Mission 9 is one of his best missions on his personal best. So all I know I have to do here is I just have to get through the final boss fight with a good time, because that's where all my time loss is happening, because I was boosting like a papega instead of doing exactly what I need to do to get out of that fight, which I thought about it in theory and I understand how it happens. So this first phase right here with the Zaku's and the At Guy can still be annoying. They can want to back up and strafe. It happened with PMC with the last At Guy. All you can really do, I hope it happens with multiple enemies instead of going for the final one in the back, because if one of them does that, then all I can do is change my target to the next one that's moving in close. So that Zaku I targeted at first, not this one, but the other one to the left now. I targeted that one. It stayed in a corner, so I just quickly switched back to the other one. And so I now am in a good position where, since it come back out of the corner, I can continue to do damage to it. And the At Guy will be the last, well, the At Guy in this final Zaku will be the last one that I take care of. So the Zaku's moving close because the At Guy's kind of camping out in the back. The At Guy I really need to be careful about because it can fire beams that really hurt me. It hasn't done that yet. It's been firing missiles and its secondary weapon, I believe. I believe the beams are a special, are they not, with the At Guy? It's been a while since I've played tactics battles, so I don't remember what the At Guy's main weapons and specials and secondaries are. Either way, a little bit of a slow first phase, but not really a big time loss that I'm going to complain about, if any. So now we go into phase 2, and I try to call the support there because I'm thinking, I have this gym here, can I use it to help me? And it's on its own, especially when they keep spawning. If one of them dies, another one comes in. So now I will try to use the new hammer tech as much as I can, because we're dealing with same idea as Mission 3. We're dealing with 4 enemy spawns before we see Char, and we really want to be careful with Char in this instance because he has a Zagok, and Zagoks in general, they are the worst mobile suits to deal with as the Gundam, or as Amuro in this game, in this run. I didn't realize I got that guy down because my camera went off. I thought he dodged, and then I didn't realize he was blowing up. So it's all good. I don't know if I just got the last hit or if the gym got it. Either way, I'm happy with it. So now I have to move all the way over to the other side. I'm trying to conserve as much boost as I can to be able to get there. And I don't want to overburn my verniers here, because if I do, then it's a significant time I'll be waiting to have those boosters recharge so I can get back to the other side. So the first Zaku goes down. I'm using the new tech for the hammers as much as I can. The At Guy boosts up, and I'm thinking, is it going to do the same thing that happened with PMC, where PMC somehow got this At Guy to move halfway in between the 2 bridges to get him closer to Char. And so I figure if they boost up here onto the main roads of Jaburo, right by the base, if they do that, then I would think the safe play here would be to kind of sort of boost from that edge a little bit, because then you get a little bit of distance if you free fall the other way, or you can do like I do and just kind of throw it up and then boost over there. And so I run into Char. I didn't have my shield up because I wasn't thinking. I figured he would have been on the other side, but as soon as I found him and took that first shot, it's a good reminder, hey, you got to keep your shield up when you're moving over there. And see, that's what I'm thinking when I get that close to Char, which is, please use your melee, and then he hits the beam. That's the bad part about dealing with the Zagox that I tried to get around to mentioning before I got a little sidetracked. You get so close to the Zagox, you hope they change to melee. Most of them do change to melee when you get close, but the Zagox can just say nope and fire the beam still at you. But I only got a few beams fired at me. Char didn't really go for melees. I got a decent fight, all things considered. So, what I've learned about this hallway part with Char, you don't have to get directly close to him. You don't even have to do anything. You just have to get in a certain distance, listen to Amuro say his line, and you're in good shape. So I get there, and Char just kind of backs up like, I don't want to deal with you. And now I'm in the part where I can have my big time save. So, what I figured out, like I said, instead of trying to get directly behind the Zoc, I just try to get somewhere in position. If I could get to the side, I would have preferred that a lot better, but since it starts blocking and I get close to it, if I get that close to it and I get to its side, optimally if you get that close to it and you get to its side, you can start throwing the Hyper Hammer at it, and once you get directly behind it close enough, this is when the new hammer tech does benefit, where you can strafe and throw the hammer back. As you see right there, coming back at me like a tether ball. I think you'd call it basketball a little bit too, because you're kind of dribbling off them and you're staying that close to do that. I got a really quick Zoc there. So we have to wait. Time will be called as soon as we have the black screen happen and the glorious explosion, and boom. Looky there. Just like PMC, all I did was have a better Mission 9, and now we have a 31-19. Just literally one day after PMC beat my record. And I know because this is going on with PMC and me, we're both going to be grinding the game like madmen, trying to get this time even lower. We both know that the time can be improved, but the fact that we're both looking at low 31 and we have high 29, we have high 29, some of best, I'm looking at this thinking a high 30 is possible. But it requires us having ridiculous runs on ridiculous pace and not losing them anywhere from about Mission 5 onward. Because Mission 5 onward, we can have a lot of dumb stuff happen that makes us lose the run. But either way, that's it for me once again. I hope you enjoyed this video. And PMC, I guess we're back to grinding the game again, aren't we? I'm Joshua Bishop. Y'all have a good day.